Hey everybody, it's your good friend Spider here once again with another episode of the show presented by Uncanny Media. And obviously I'm feeling much better. I'm not 100%, but I'm in the 99th percentile, I think. I still have a cough, because I always have a cough. I don't know what the deal is these days. I'm not a smoker. So it's not something like that for anybody who wonders, well, maybe you're just, smoker's cough. No, I don't have anything like that. I don't have asthma. I just, for some reason, always have a persistent cough, so. And that's what I've got. And anyway, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We only have this episode and one more before 2025 is over. And I don't put a lot of stock into New Year's usually because time is what it is, and the way that we label time is kind of a construct, and it's like, this is coming up on 2026 for us here in the United States and for European countries, but in some places in the Middle East it's another year entirely, in some places in China it's another year entirely, and different nations measure different ways based on different past events. So it's not really significant to me on that scale. But as far as like fiscal things and fiscal, not physical, fiscal, money, dealing with money, as far as those kind of things, it is going to be a big year. I have a lot of things planned. I have a lot of things in the pipeline, so to speak, going forward, and most of those will begin in 2026. That's when I'm going to be doing the bookkeeping on them. That's when any anniversary stuff is going to come around if necessary. So a lot of things are going on. It's a wet day here in Ohio. I guess it rained this morning. I slept in. I didn't feel awake yet, and since my wife was home, she had a day off. I didn't have to get up to take care of the usual stuff I do, like get my daughter her breakfast and all that other kind of stuff, because she was available to do all that. So I just kept sleeping. I slept an extra hour or so, so kind of threw off most of my day, but it's not awful. I still got stuff accomplished. I still got things done. And I feel like I did what I needed to do for the most part. So yeah, it's a wet day. It's not snowing. I don't know if it's going to snow for Christmas, for those of you who celebrate. If you do celebrate, tomorrow is Christmas Eve, as of my recording. By the time you hear this, it will be early in the day on Christmas Eve, because I record these the night before, and I put them in the next day. So the day that this comes out, it'll be the 24th of December. So it'll be Christmas Eve. If you celebrate, hey, good on you. Hope you enjoy. Have a good day with your family or whoever you're going to celebrate with. If you don't, hey, I hope you have a good day anyway. Because I don't celebrate. And I'm still unsure of what I'm doing, whether I'm going to go see other family or not. I'm not usually, I don't like to travel much these days. Some things are a necessity and some things are not. And since I don't put a lot of stock in either the religious or the material part of Christmas, then it's not really a big deal for me. I went over this an episode or two ago, so I don't need to rehash it. But since I won't see any of you until after the holiday is over, I hope you enjoy your time, if you do. And if you don't, well, sometimes things happen. And I guess that kind of leads into what I'm getting into tonight. I'm not going to hit this super hard because I don't want to make anybody self-conscious or anything. But, and I don't really get this myself. I think I might have periodically throughout life based on the events that have gone through in my life, but I don't get it anymore, so it's not an occurrence for me. But I know a lot of people go through this. We're gonna get into seasonal depression. We're gonna get into that, and then people are already like, I don't want to get into that. Why would you want to talk about that? That's depressing because it's seasonal depression. Well, maybe we can come up with some ideas to help you get through it. I don't have any illusions that you can just forget all your troubles in an instant and have a Disney sing-along and everything's right with the world when you start feeling depressed. I know that. I know it's not something you can turn on, turn off like a light switch. It comes and goes as it wants to because that's our brain chemistry, right? We have things going on in our brains, and that's just how they go. But maybe we can come up with some ways to soften the blow a little bit, right? Some ways to kind of make things a little bit more smooth and a little bit less destitute, I guess. And while you might not be the happiest person around the season, you might be a little bit less prone to dark thoughts and things. I mean, they're going to come if they want to. If that's how your brain operates, you're going to get the thoughts regardless. But there are healthy ways to deal with that. When I was younger, as I've mentioned multiple times throughout the podcast, I had all kinds of issues going on. I would brood over things. I would overthink things. I would be anxious. I'd be angry at the world, and I just had a lot of thoughts that weren't great. And holidays eventually, when I moved out, became tied into that because it seemed like at the time there was a disconnect between me and how I thought I could still celebrate things and the way that my family was doing things, and I felt kind of left out and kind of passed over a couple of times when I made an effort. And I don't want this to come off as I'm yelling about my family, because my family are great people. I don't want people to think I'm trying to badmouth them or say that they did anything wrong. Because I've never had a big discussion with them about how I felt about all this. I've never approached them and been like, hey, you know what, these things happened and it really messed me up for a while. I mean, can we talk about it? Because I don't do that with people most of the time. And so it's not really their fault, because maybe they don't understand that anything was done. And I'm not even going to say, like, that they did anything wrong, because who's to say that they did? Just because I thought that they did something wrong doesn't mean that they did. It means that I thought they did. See, I'm very forgiving about thoughts and certain emotions. Because unless you talk about things and communicate directly with people on certain things, then there's no way that either side can get a perfect resolution on an issue, or even understand that there is an issue to begin with. Because people have their own lives, people do their own things, and this was long after I'd moved out. So, and I live like 3 hours away from most of my family, so it's not like they can just pop in and be like, oh, how you doing? Oh, hey, you're struggling with something. Okay. You know, if I don't put it out on social media or make a big deal about it, then nobody knows, right? So they'll do their own thing, I'll do my own thing, and then that's just how it goes. But it contributed, a lot of misunderstandings contributed to my decision not to really do holidays anymore. And now that I'm in a more stable place, I'm still kind of like, you know what, I don't do, again, the religious part, because I'm not religious. I'm not a Christian person. I'm not a Jewish person, so I don't do Hanukkah. I don't know what religion you have to be to do Kwanzaa. And I don't mean that flippantly. I'm not trying to denigrate that. I know that's an ethnic holiday, but I don't know if there's a religion tied to it, because I don't know enough about African spirituality and things of that nature. I don't, and I'll profess ignorance to that, and I'm not going to speak on it if I don't know about it. So, but obviously, since I don't know any of that stuff, I can't really celebrate Kwanzaa because I don't know. I think it would be really disrespectful of me to do that without knowing what I was doing, right? And so I try to avoid being disrespectful to other people's beliefs and things, unless they're in my face about stuff and they're rude and they're jerks about it, and then I'm going to maybe dress them down a little bit, but that's mostly to them, not to their religion or spirituality as a whole. And since I don't do the spiritual part of it, then what's left? There's the gift giving and things like that, right? That's the next part. I've been over that on the podcast multiple times already. We're covering old ground. If I care about my family, I get them gifts year round. I get them little this or that. When I see something like in an advertisement online, I'm like, oh yeah, I think my daughter would love that. So I either get it in preparation for a birthday, which that's how I do things a lot with her. I'll buy gifts throughout the year for her birthday in October, so that I have a stockpile by the time her birthday gets here. Buy a couple of gifts here, a couple of gifts there, things throughout the year as the money is here, so I'm not spending at the last minute, so I can afford all of it. I do that for my wife too. I'll be like, oh yeah, she would really like that shirt, or she'd really like this book, or something. And I'll just come up with something outside of birthdays and holidays. And so I don't need a specific holiday of gift giving to do that kind of stuff, right? And then, of course, there's the last thing where, oh yeah, it's an opportunity just to be with your family. Well, I am with my family. I know I'm not with my distant family all the time, but I can technically visit them pretty much any time. I can call them up and be like, hey, what are you doing? When are you free? I'm going to drive out with my daughter and we're going to come visit. Right? We can work things out throughout the entire year. I don't cram everything in to a single couple of days. So, and maybe that's a really pessimistic outlook. I don't know. I haven't celebrated most of these holidays in, going on 20 plus years or more, and I'm not about to start now. And I don't think my daughter is deprived, because again, she gets things throughout the year, and she also still gets gifts from other family members who do celebrate. They'll get her Christmas gifts or Easter baskets or whatever. And so she gets to experience some of that kind of stuff. And I've told her that when she's of age that she wants to do that kind of stuff on her own, she can do that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that specifically here at home, but if she ever wants to, and she wants to organize something, she can do that, because that's her own choice as an individual. I'm not teaching her that it's all bad, or that you should never do it, or that it's all just a scam, or that it's terrible. None of that kind of stuff. I just teach her that some people do it and some people don't, and we just happen not to, and if she wants to when she's older, she can do it. I think that's fair. I think as long as she understands what everything is, then she can make her own choice. And she's getting close to being of the age where she can start making those choices. She's 11. She'll be 12 in 26. And she'll be just about a teenager. And once she's a teenager, a lot of things are going to change, I think. Like her bedtime will be extended. She'll have a few more privileges around the house. So yeah, I think when she's at that age, if that's what she decides, then she can do what she wants to do. So anyway, if you do celebrate, by all means, enjoy yourselves. I don't plan on it. I plan on enjoying myself, but I don't plan to celebrate. But seasonal depression. Seasonal depression. I don't really get it myself. And that's not to say I don't understand it. It means I don't have seasonal depression when things get dim and dreary. And that's what a lot of it is. A lot of it is the way the world looks physically. It's gray, it's dim, it's colorless unless you see the holiday lighting and things like that. And a lot of people, they don't like that kind of thing. A lot of people thrive on color, on definition, on things happening. So when everything just kind of looks like bleh, it affects people a lot. It messes with people. They don't like it. Makes them uncomfortable. But it doesn't really bother me too much. Other than me being grouchy that it's cold outside and that there's snow everywhere. In which case, that's about it. I wouldn't call that depression. I would just be, that's just old man yells at cloud. Old man yells at cloud. Cloud, you should have saved Tifa. Anyway, that's a deep one for some people. But and places like Alaska, where it's, and like the far north of Canada, the very far upper edges of Canada, where it's just snow all the time, pretty much, and it's gray and it's the same color all the time. I mean, they have a high rate of mental disability going on. And I'm not just going to say that everybody from Alaska and northern Canada is messed up in the head. That's insensitive, right? It's documented that, and in that environment, a lot of people develop issues, depression, and they get neurotic and things of that nature. And it stands to reason, because humans like bright, colorful things. Humans are a certain species of animal that likes bright, colorful things. And if they don't get those on a regular basis, then we get sad. It's what it is. We get sad. And so one of the things that you can do, a suggestion. Again, I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know the ins and outs of everybody's brains. I'm just making some suggestions that may or may not work. If they don't work for you, you can easily ignore them and try something else. Maybe seek out a professional, because I'm clearly not. But if they do work, you're welcome. You don't got to thank me for it. I'm just saying you're welcome as a polite thing, not as you're welcome. Not like you better say thank you for this suggestion. No. I'm just, I'm happy to help. Happy to help. But if you're missing some color in your life from the outdoors being snowy and everything, then maybe put up something in your house. It doesn't have to be decorations, but it can be. If you're a Christmas person, put up the most colorful decorations you can put up. Make your home a happy home. Because you have to spend so much time in it, you can't go out other than maybe to the grocery store or to work or to wherever. You can't go out and just frolic unless you like frolicking in the snow, in which case you might not even have seasonal depression. This might be the happiest time of the year for you. Snow might be your favorite thing in the entire world, and the only thing you're depressed about is that nobody likes it as much as you do. And that's something cool too, by all means. But otherwise, you're stuck in your house for longer periods of time. Dress it up. Do something. Make it a little more cozy. Make it a little more cheery. Turn the heat up just a smidge extra, more than you would. Not, don't overheat yourself, but, a lot of people keep their thermostats low to keep the bills low, and that's a legitimate thing. My gas bill, and that's what my heat is. My heat is natural gas. Those bills go up in the winter by a lot. It gets real expensive. They raise the rates because they know you're going to be using it. so they raise the rates. Um, and unlike the electric companies, they don't have like, oh, it's a strain on the system and you have your electric too high. Please stop using so much electric in the middle of summer when it's boiling heat. Don't use your air conditioner. The gas companies don't do that. The gas companies are like, yeah, you keep on bumping that gas and we'll keep on charging you for it. We'll keep on charging you for it. You just raise it as high as you want and we'll raise the bill as high as we want. And that's how they do it. But you can increase it a little bit to make things a little more cozy. Or if you have a fireplace or something like that, some way of just, giving you the warm and fuzzies. Eat things that you enjoy. Once again, it is difficult to regulate your eating habits the way that the grocery prices have been. And I don't want to go into another diatribe, another rant about the grocery prices. I do know they're high. They're ridiculously bad. Regardless of what anybody at the federal level is saying, here in Ohio, it's not great. But maybe if you can, maybe pick up a couple more comfort foods. Things that you enjoy that make you feel good when you eat them. That aren't just because, well, I'm eating this because I want to be healthy and I want to, whatever. And I'm not saying go out and just buy a whole bunch of cheeseburgers and make yourself sick and throw off whatever your diet is if you're on a diet or anything like that. I mean, just within your eating habits, splurge a small bit, just a little. It don't have to be desserts or like big cakes and ice cream. It's just something homemade, like a good soup or something like that. We've talked about soup on my other show, which I haven't done for a while. But you can do so much with soup. You can throw so many ingredients in there, and you can make it thick or thin or whatever you want, hearty or whatever. Have a comfort food. Eat your comfort food. Not every day, but just here and there throughout the season, just to give yourself a little bit of, you know what, this was delicious. I feel pretty good. My body's happy because I ate this thing. I feel great. Do something like that. Periodically, every, once or twice a year, I make meatloaf. Because meatloaf is a comfort food. I love it. I like eating it. It's not always very healthy for me, but I don't eat it every day. I just eat it because, you know what? This is a food that I really enjoy. It makes me feel good. Not necessarily healthy, but it makes me feel good to eat a big old half a meatloaf in the course of a day. And maybe a nice beverage. That's not to say it has to be alcohol. I'm not saying that. I like a good cup of coffee. I love a good cup of coffee. I usually have 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. I try not to have too many more because the caffeine is a lot. And I don't like the decaf because the decaf, for some reason, it just tastes funny. It doesn't do, and the antioxidants aren't as high for whatever the process is to remove the caffeine. But coffee is good for you on a certain level. It's got antioxidants and things, but it does have caffeine. So make it to your comfort, whatever strength you prefer. Nice, hot, warm cup of coffee. If you're into tea, there's a lot of teas out there. You got herbal tea, you got other kinds of tea. You can make tea out of just about anything. A nice hot cup of tea, or a hot cup of coffee, or a hot cup of hot chocolate. Right? Sounding good, or chai, or whatever else is out there. There's a lot of beverages that aren't alcohol and aren't something that are debilitating. You thought I was going to go there, didn't you? You thought I was going to go straight to just have yourself a little cup of bourbon. Hey. I'm trying to think of... I want this to be healthy alternatives. Because while I enjoy drinking some alcohol, and that might make me feel pretty good if I had seasonal depression, I know it's not a healthy outlet for a lot of other people. A lot of people get depressed, they start drinking, they get more depressed, and then they start making bad decisions. So don't do that, right? Don't do something that's gonna give you bad decisions. But something nice. Again, like a hot cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Or if you like seasonal beverages, around this time of year, from fall onwards, you got the apple cider and you got the eggnog and you got all those different things. There's plenty of non-alcoholic eggnog out there. And you got the apple cider, and you can do all kinds of, just if it makes you feel happy, like, oh yeah, I remember as a kid we used to have apple cider and donuts during whatever. When I was a kid, and we used to go to church, of course, during the fall season, a lot of times that's what we would have. We would have fall services, and you'd have apple cider and donuts in the morning or in the evening for an evening service or something like that throughout the holidays. And that was always nice. As much as I was never a great Christian person. I tried. I did try. I put a lot of heart and effort into it, and I wanted so badly for it to work out for me before I finally gave it up. And that's not to say that it's wrong or that you should just give it up. I'm just saying for me it just ended up not being. But I had a lot of good experiences when I was a kid. My friends in church, we would talk about things and we would hang out, and they would have the events, and they would have cider and donuts and things and other pastries, whatever. So if you're into that, do that kind of a thing. Do that kind of thing. And if you are a religious person, check into local religious holiday services, because maybe that'll help bring you out of a dark place. Like in Home Alone, in the movie Home Alone, towards the end of the movie, before he's going to fight off the burglars, he's walking past the church, and he goes in because he hears them singing, and the kid talks to the old man who everybody was afraid of in the neighborhood, because they all thought he was like a murderer or something, but he's not. He's just a nice guy. And they have a nice little talk, and he feels better about everything. It's a nice place to... A lot of churches do evening services. Sometimes it's just songs, sometimes it's whole sermons and everything. And if that's what you're into, by all means. By all means. It might help. It's just something small you can do to be around like-minded people. What else can you do? If you live by yourself, there are a lot of places out there that are not necessarily churches that do holiday meals and get-togethers and things of that nature that are either free or for like a small donation that don't cost a whole lot. And you can go and maybe you can make a connection with somebody. I'm not telling you to go out and be social, because I'm not a social person. That would probably drive me a little crazy. Like I don't want to go out and talk to a bunch of people. That's not the thing that makes me feel good. Not to say that people are bad particularly. I'm not a social butterfly person. You folks know that by now. I like talking at you. I like talking at you from this outlet. It works out fine. But if I'm in front of like 50 people or something like that, I don't know if I'm going to be talking this well. Might be a little uncomfortable. But no, go check the area. Check your local area. See if there's stuff going on. You never know. Even just going, having a good meal someplace, and hanging out and hearing the conversations of people around you might make you feel better. You don't have to be social yourself. It might just be everybody united in the same activity. If you have favorite movies or favorite music or something really entertaining, get into that. Turn on the music around the house. A lot of times during the holidays, I like to put on the fireplace thing that they have on certain channels where that goes for a few hours. On YouTube, you can find them for like 10 hours, 10-hour long, with or without music. Sometimes you can get them with holiday music. You can get them with light jazz music or whatever instrumental, and you can just put on the little fireplace on your TV, and that can brighten up your space, and it can help you feel better. And these are all, some people are out there probably thinking, I'm really depressed, I'm really upset. These are all little dumb things. Why do you think this is going to be helpful? Well, it's the little things that get to you. It's the little things that you can enjoy that help fight back against the big things that are bothering you. And it's not going to cure you. It's not going to magically make everything in your life better. But it's just going to give you a few moments of maybe warm thoughts. A little bit of peaceful, like, this is kind of nice. And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes all you need are those brief moments of, this is not half bad. And enough of those little moments and you're feeling better. And it's not a cure for manic depression or bipolar or whatever other. If you're a clinically diagnosed person and you're on medication and different things like that, you know these things can't be cured. They can be treated. And these are just other ways to treat them. Not everything is going to work for everybody. You can pick and choose. But yeah, put on movies. If you're a holiday person, put on the holiday movies. They're all over the place. And I'm not talking about necessarily the hokey Lifetime movies where it's like, she was a big executive from the city and she was looking for a way out, and he was a tree farmer from Wyoming, and it took a small town to bring them together. It's the same basic plot with different details every movie. I don't know. But if you like those, okay, you like those. I don't. But find some holiday movies you like, if you like them. If you don't like holiday movies, find something else. There's plenty of content out there. A lot of us still have our old DVD and Blu-ray collections. I've got mine. It's in the attic, but I can go up anytime, grab a movie, bring it down, put it in one of my systems, and I can watch a movie. Or I can pop up the Netflix or the HBO Max or any of the streaming stuff that you got going out. There's tons of streaming stuff, and there's plenty of good and bad non-holiday related stuff on all of those services. So you can find something. Or turn on your music collection. Maybe go back and find a song you haven't listened to for a long time. Excuse me. I have an extensive music collection that ranges from back when I was in high school. And I have things that I haven't listened to since then, and every so often I'll go back into some of the oldest reaches of my digital archive. Ooh, excuse me, pardon me. And I'll find something like, you know what, I haven't listened to this for a while. Let me turn this on. And I'll get nostalgia, and I feel like, oh, this was such a great time when I was in high school. Or maybe it was a terrible time when I was in high school, but the song got me through it, you know? So the memories that bubble up might not always be pleasant, but it'll be, you can pick and choose with that kind of stuff too. I do that periodically. When I was younger, I was really into certain brands of alternative music, and I'm talking about the late 90s, early 2000s alternative. I'm not talking about Coldplay. Coldplay is not alternative, despite what anybody might say. I'm talking about like Silverchair and A Perfect Circle and maybe some Jane's Addiction, or, you know, different things. Smashing Pumpkins, that kind of stuff, right? And I'll go back and I'll fish some of that out. I listened to that, and I listened to some light trance and techno stuff. They had a beat that was kind of my pre-industrial days, before I got into the heavy stuff. And I'll load some of that stuff up, and I don't play it as much around the house as I used to. Since my daughter was born, I had to spend a lot of time not playing some of the music that I was a really big fan of because it wasn't appropriate for young ears. Now that she's getting older and I can explain to her, hey, this is not language that we just use flippantly around the house, but artistically people do use it in these songs, then I can probably play a little bit more of it than I did before. I'm not going to start busting out the Meshuggah. Probably not while she's trying to play her Pokemon games. But some of the other stuff, my Everclear and various other songs, I can probably play, and it's not a problem anymore. So, but that's something you can do. Put on some music. We all have some way of playing music, even if it's on your phone or whatever. Your phone can play music, and Spotify is free. Yeah, you got advertisements, but it's free. If you want all the playlists and all of the fancy stuff, you got to pay for the premium. But it's free as a standalone app. You just sign up for it and that's it. So you can listen to just about anything that you want to. So you don't have any. If you want to listen to music, there's nothing holding you back these days. Most phones have the capability of doing that. If you have an old flip phone, maybe not. I don't know. But maybe if you have an old flip phone, you're a person who still has CDs or tapes or records or something, right? And if you have those, I'm betting you have something around your house that'll play them. So, might as well. Might as well. I'm getting due some point tomorrow or the next day. I don't always do it on the same day. Sometimes I do it on Christmas Eve. Sometimes I do it on Christmas Day. But on one of the 2 days, I'll be turning on Marilyn Manson's Hollywood album because I play that every year for Christmas. I got it for Christmas when I was a young teenager before I'd moved out of my parents' house. It was the first album from a controversial artist that they bought for me because they thought, you know what, you're going to buy it anyway with your own money once you get the chance. Just don't play it too loud in the house. But they were supportive of my musical tastes, regardless of the fact that they didn't agree with them. And that meant a lot to me. And that album changed a lot of things for me. It added some ways that I look at the world. And I'm not saying it's a super particularly deep album. I'm not saying it's so cerebral that it's like a masterpiece of its time. But it made a difference for me as a kid. And in that time, with the holiday and all the things lining up the way that it was, I started listening to it every year on Christmas. And I've let's see, when did it come out? It came out in 2000 something. It's been close to 25 years. More or less. It's been close to 25 years. And I've listened to it every year. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It's not something that I'm like, oh, gather the family around, let's all listen to Marilyn Manson. I do it for myself. If I don't do it late when everyone else is sleeping and have the volume particular on the surround sound, then I'll usually put it on a portable device and I'll listen to it on my headphones. I'm not trying to ruin anybody else's day with it, but that's what I'm going to do, because that's what I do every year. And you can do something similar. You can establish whether you want to do like Christmas music every year, or you can do something that's obviously like Marilyn Manson. It's not Christmas music. It's distinctly like against Christmas music. I don't know. Not like standing against it, but it's clearly not Christmas music. So, but that's something you can do. You have access to comfort foods, got access to entertainment. If you like to read, you got books. You got books around the house, I'm sure. If you like to read, you probably have a few books you haven't read in a long time. Revisit something. Revisit something you haven't read in a long time. And every so often I pick up a copy. I have 2 copies around my house. I pick up one of the copies of American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I feel a little weird about it now because he turned out to be a problematic person. I don't want to get into it. Him and his wife are into some things, and those things came out, and people were like, that's not right, and there's some litigation and things going on. Okay, it's not like it's just I didn't care for their opinions. It was they're into some bad things if the news reports are to be believed. His wife, of course, is Amanda Palmer, who has her own brand of cult status, I suppose. But she's not a person that I'm very fond of. So I feel kind of weird, like, enjoying the book so much, because the book changed my life. It literally altered my outlook of how the world works. And so it's not something that I want to easily let go of, despite the fact that the author has done some semi-terrible things. It's not to the level of the guy from Lost Prophets, which I talked about a few episodes ago. I think I talked about him on the True Crime episode, maybe not. Because he did some awful things to a child, and that's an entirely different level of terrible things. And I won't listen to anything that he's ever put out anymore. He's gone now. He was ended in jail, to put it mildly. He was ended while he was serving his prison sentence, and not by the prison officials. So if that tells you how his sordid life ended up. I can't listen to his music, and there's good reason for that. But Neil Gaiman, despite the fact that he ended up being the kind of person that he is, he made some incredible things. He wrote some incredible things, and I'm still going to be into that. I'm going to just separate the art from the artist. I'm not going to buy anything else he might put out. If he writes more books, I'm not going to buy any more, so he's not going to... But he'd already gotten my money from those other things. He had already gotten my money from those other things, so there was no reason not to. Keep reading. But that's something you can do. If you're a reader, battle the seasonal depression, read some books. Pick out something that you haven't read in a while that you really enjoyed. There's nothing wrong with rereading a book, even if you know exactly what's going to happen. Even if you know exactly word for word how the story is going to go. It's like watching a movie that an old movie that you really enjoy more than once. How many people watch Lord of the Rings and then watch it again a year or two later? Or they rewatch Star Wars movies, or you rewatch Hunger Games or something. I don't know. Whatever's more modern that you might be into. A lot of people watch old movies like Miracle on 34th Street around Christmas time. If you're at Halloween, people watch Hocus Pocus. I don't know why. It's an awful movie. But if you like it, you like it. And you watch it every year, right? You've seen it a million times, but you know you're just going to watch it anyway. Ernest, Scared Stupid. You watch him. You watch him on Halloween. It's better than Hocus Pocus, trust me. People are going to be mad. They're like, you're don't badmouth my favorite movie. It's a classic. Anyway. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with rewatching or rereading things, even if you know everything top to bottom about it. It's only boring if you think it's boring. If you feel like, I'm not into it, then fine, don't do it. Whatever. But if you want to see it again, do it. Excuse me. to pivot just a minute. Pivot just a minute. I'm rhyming over here on something, and I don't want people to tune out. I don't want people to tune out on this just because of the initial subject matter. I want to talk about, for the last few minutes of the show, the last 15 minutes, I want to talk about John Cena. And some people are going to be like, oh, the wrestling guy, we don't want to talk about more wrestling. Let's switch the channel. Let's switch the radio show off. We don't want to listen to wrestling talk. I don't want to talk about necessarily just in the realm of wrestling here. That's going to be a big part of it because that's how he got his start in fame and infamy and whatever. But bear with me here. He had his final match last Saturday. And it's his final match of his wrestling career. He's not going to wrestle anymore. Although, you never know. He might come back and put a move on somebody in the ring sometime in the future just for publicity. But he's not going to do any more full matches anymore. He's retired. And he lost the match. And he lost it in kind of a way. But you have to he has a lot of clout in the company. He's been with them for 25 years. 25 seems to be a big number lately. Like, I've been doing music for 26 years now, but basically 25 years. And he was a wrestler for 25 years. And it's kind of weird to see he'd become kind of a bit part the last few years. They would bring him back as just like, oh no, here he is, as a surprise, just to work up the crowd and do things in a match to help out whoever's in there. So it wasn't like he was super important to the company right now, but he was a staple for a lot of that time. I remember, I didn't see him when he debuted. That was slightly before the time that I was watching. But I remember he had been out. He had started, his original gimmick was he was a rapper like Eminem. He was like an Eminem style rapper. And he came out and he wore the clothes and the various things of the culture. The whole hip hop thing. And initially he wasn't that great. Like, he was obnoxious. He was kind of annoying. I wasn't into him. I didn't see a lot of those early matches, but I was kind of like, alright, whatever. He got injured, he hurt his leg, and he was out for a while. But when he came back from injury, he was light years better than what he had been. He was entertaining, he had stuff to say, he was physically capable. I was a fan for several years. And then he started doing he started getting into the movies. He got the movie The Marine. He was the first of that, and then they had made like 2 or 3 with different people after that. And he had that persona of being, I'm the American guy, I'm the number one, I'll do anything and I'll never give up. And then he got into a really stale character arc that lasted for years and years and years and years and years. And I wasn't a big fan because it was just boring. It was like, oh, yep, Cena comes in, he beats people. And that's it. And the last few years, he's been coming back just to help put the newer guys to help push them over the line, to help give them a little bit of status and things for the crowd. And that's what older wrestlers should do when they're getting ready to get out of the business. They should help the next generation, give them the clout, right? And so he was doing that. The whole build-up to it, like I've talked about the match with him and Cody where he went bad for a while and different things, and the whole build-up was weird. I don't know if he came up with a lot of this himself or if he trusted the people doing the wrestling writing to do it for him, and he just went through it because he's a company guy. He's like, yeah, I think that sounds fine. Very agreeable. But the whole thing was weird. It was back and forth. It was yo-yoing. You have to go back and watch it if you don't understand. If you're not a wrestling fan, you won't have any idea what I'm talking about, and it's not going to resonate with you at all. But if you've been watching it, you've been kind of like, and you're probably a little let down about the whole run from beginning to end. But the point is he's retired from wrestling, and he's going to be full time in movies and TV shows. He's been doing the TV show Peacemaker, which is based on a DC Comics vigilante hero who's kind of like the Punisher, where instead of where Batman and Superman will let people live because their code is, no, we don't end people's lives, we punish people and then whatever, but we won't cross that line. He does. He's just like, oh, you're just a scumbag, so you're a criminal, you're done. But he's super patriotic. He's like, I love America, and things of that nature. So he's like a Superman with no powers who ends people instead of just locking them up. He's on a second season of that. He's on a string of movies. He's been in a lot of movies. He's been in at least one Transformers film where he wasn't bad. He was not awful. He's been in a few other things where he played both comedic and serious parts. And I think he's doing all right for himself. And he wears suits most of the time wherever he goes. So I'm interested to see the trajectory of where he's going to go from here. Again, he was never my favorite wrestler, and he's not my favorite movie actor. But he is talented, and he can speak, and he's he knows what he's doing. So it's just anytime something like that happens, it's kind of the end of an era, right? It's the end of the way things are one way, and they're going to change because a new crop of people are coming in, and things are going to be different. And the reason that it was interesting is because a lot of things have changed. A lot of things are ending in 2025. I'm not talking about, oh, my favorite show is coming to a close, or there's not going to be this, or something like that. A lot of things changed, a lot of things shut down, a lot of things closed off. And if you know me, then you know I'm into numerology. I'm not going to get weird on anybody if you're wondering. I'm just going to get into it a little bit here. 2025, numerologically, is 9. 5 plus 2 plus 2 is 9. And 9 is the number of endings. In classic numerology, you have 1 through 9. You don't count 10, because 10 is just 0 plus 1, and it reduces to 1. So the cycle starts over. So you have 1 through 9 as a cycle, and then the cycle starts over. And each number has something different attached to it. 9 in the last in the sequence is the time of endings. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean death. It doesn't mean the end of the world. It just means the end of a cycle in preparation for the beginning of something else. And when you do my name numerologically, it comes down to 9. So I am a 9-aspected person, if you believe in that kind of thing. And endings have always been an important part of my life. Things have to end for new things to begin, and I put great stock in endings. I put a lot of stock in how things end and when they end and what comes next. And that's what 2025 is. 2025 is the year to put an end to things. If you've got something that you've just been hanging on to that you know you got to get rid of it. You still got a few days. Get rid of it. Is there a relationship in your life that is just causing more harm than good? Put a stop to it. Put a stop to it. Is there a habit that you have that is holding you back? Make a conscious effort to change. 2026 is a 1. It's the beginning of a brand new cycle of stuff. And again, I don't usually put stock into the new year versus the old year. But this isn't just a new year, this is a new cycle. This is something different. And for me personally, there's a lot of new things that are in the works that are going to begin this next year. And I have a lot of investment in these projects. I feel good about them. They're going to start, they're going to move forward. 6 plus 2 plus 2 is 10. 0 plus 1 is 1. It's the beginning of new cycles. If you have things that you have always wanted to do with your life, 2026 is the year to do them. Step out of your comfort zone. Do something different. Try something new. Beat back that seasonal depression. Do the holidays if you do them. If you don't, just bide your time. The year rolls over, hits that 1, and then it's time to put the pedal to the metal. Time to make a change. It's time to clean things. It's time to see what is going to do better for you and by you. 2026 is the year. And you don't have to believe in all that. If you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. It's fine. No big deal. But I think you got this. I'm confident. I'm 100% confident that 2026 is the year for new stuff, new events, new goodness. And I'm reaching out to grab it. I don't know about any of you, but I'm reaching out to grab it, and I'm not letting go. So that's what we got. If you are a person that struggles with seasonal depression, I hope you work through it. I hope any of the little minor ideas, they're all little things. And again, they're not going to cure your depression. They might help treat the symptoms a little bit. Maybe. And if they don't, if they don't, they don't. But who knows? You never know till you give it a try. And I hope that the rest of this year treats you well and you go into next year feeling more confident, feeling just a little bit more rosy, more cozy, more able to deal with the situations you're in. I really hope you do. We got one episode left next week before the year is out. And I could have saved this speech till then. But next week is going to be... We're going to go back and revisit some of our old episodes, the things we talked about. We're going to give updates on what has happened in some of those things since then. Like the very first episode we did, we talked about the whole Diddy situation. And we got updates. We got updates for you. We're not going to be running clips. I'm not going to be playing excerpts from any of these old episodes. I don't do that. It's not a clip show. It's not a revisit everything we've done and just be rubbing in people's faces. We're just going to go back and look and do some updates and see how things have changed throughout the year. We're going to see how things have changed since we started this podcast. And, because we started actually 2 years ago. Because I already have a New Year's episode from last year. But we're going to go back anyway. We're going to go back and look at the whole thing from start to finish. But that's it. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate everybody who's come through every episode with me. Put up with all of my shenanigans. All of my random, whatever I say. All of my bullshit, as some would say. You're the real ones. This is real talk. We don't fudge anything here. We don't make anything up. We don't play it up for publicity or for clout or for anything like that. It's real talk. All of this comes right from me. It's how I feel on any given day when I record this. And I appreciate you all for listening, for sticking with me this whole time and not giving up and not moving on to other things. And I look forward to having a lot more conversations with you next year. Starting with next week, of course, which is, the finale of 2025. So that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to get out of here. I'm not going to talk your ear off too much longer. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.